Yes, we are live right here for the good fight. I am your guide, the Reverend Doctor, but you can call me Denise. I am super excited that you have joined me for this opportunity to have a dialogue with you like we usually do every week. I appreciate all of the good vibes that you all have been sending, all of the notes, all of the get well wishes about my voice. Thank you so much. I just appreciate your support so much more than I can even begin to um, articulate. I was writing a note to a friend of mine the other day about the role that he played in helping me care for my mother. His name is Dr. Kevin Hefner. And I remember saying to him, I wish that my soul and my spirit and my heart could talk. Because if they could talk, then you would be able to understand how much you mean to me. And that's how I feel about this space, about how you all support me no matter what, like beyond this moment. Like I'm thinking that we're going to be here for this hour, but beyond this moment, you all are looking out for and checking in on me. And it means so much. I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to the Good Fight. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you are absolutely welcome in this space. The whole of who you are is welcome in the spirit of what we call Sawubona. So, those of us who have already been joining this space on a regular basis, we do so every single week, carrying the spirit of oneness that binds us together in our humanity. Because we are humans, we are connected by the human experience. And there's nothing that you can do to extricate me or anything that I can do to extricate you from that experience because that's who we are. We are humans and we are sharing the experience of being human. It is a shared experience. Now, the way that it works itself out is not shared because of all of the identities that we hold. And that's what we are wrestling with this conversation that we call the good fight. How do we live out our faith in a way that allows us to live into the spirit of oneness while we also hold fast to who we are as individuals? And so that is the number one question. Like, how do I love me 100% and love you 100% at the same time when who you are differs from who I am in some very fundamental ways? Um, in terms of beliefs and convictions and lived experiences. Like these are things that really shape who we are. And when they are so vastly different, how do we honor each other in spite of those differences? And Um, how do we do that when our behavior is sourced in our faith? How does our faith motivate us to do that? So that's the conversation that we are having tonight. So thank you so much for joining us. I asked myself more than once if I really should try to talk, but I talked this morning, so I figured if I talk this morning, I should be able to talk tonight. So as soon as this is over, I'm gonna go silent again because the only remedy, the only healing for my voice is absolute silence. Can you believe that for me? So again, welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time joining us in this space, there are ways that you can engage with the good fight. One of those ways is to find yourself, locate yourself in the story. I am a storyteller. I am a story collector. I am a story celebrator. I'm a story revealer. I am a story bank. So there are some of you who tell me your stories and I never, ever, ever share them with anybody else. Some of you tell me your stories and I ask you if I can share. Some of you tell me your stories and I amplify those stories in the ways that I can on the platform, through the platforms that I have. So a story is important to me. So when I think about my faith and how I'm living it out in this season of my life, calling myself, I still have not stopped calling myself a Christian, but I feel like I have to qualify it. I feel like I can't just say, oh, I'm a Christian because I'm like, whoa, that doesn't feel right. But it also right now does not feel right for me to say I'm not a Christian, like I'm not a follower of Christ. And so I'm having this internal dialogue about, hey, what are you going to say? Who are you going to be? Like, how are you going to live into this? And so, according to my own understanding of what it means to be in right relationship with God, then as I think about that, then the Bible for me is more and more becoming a huge story. As a matter of fact, I have this Bible that's called the story because someone has taken the time to write it as story. I haven't read it yet, but I do intend to. And so because I'm looking at it as story and I am approaching it as story, that means that every person who shows up in the story is a character. And because they are characters, that means that they are able to do things that I would consider, or that somebody else, I'm just going to talk about me, that I could consider to be good things or bad things. It doesn't matter who the person is in the story. So even the person who has been named Jesus in the story, from my vantage point, from my perspective as a storyteller, who's looking at this as a story book, Jesus can also do some things that make me say, make me have a dog moment, because I'm like, Jesus, I don't believe you were supposed to do that, because again, Jesus is character. And because Jesus is a character, Jesus is at the mercy of the writers. So is this really Jesus doing these things, or is this the writer? So because I believe it's the writer that puts the words in Jesus's mouth, that puts the behavior in Jesus's hands, then I can then step back and say, wait a minute, let me see how I'm going to engage this, rather than believing that this is what Jesus said I must do. I don't feel like that at all. Hotep, I see you. I see you, Hotep. Thanks for being here. I don't know if I'm going to make it, y'all. I'm going to try to make it. There's another way. So find yourself in the story. So you could be any one of the characters. You could be Jesus. You could be Judas. You can be Peter. You can be Mary Magdalene. You can be David. You can be Goliath. You can be whoever it is. You can find yourself in the story. And I think that is so, for me, that is so beautiful. It is so liberating to be able to say, wait a minute. These are all of the ways in which we can interact with each other. And I can be one of these. I can be interacting in one of these ways. And it's also a way for us to check ourselves. Like, wait a minute. So if I'm operating in this space, if I see myself as Judas, then that means I need to take some time to examine myself and say, maybe I don't want to be like this. And I have an opportunity to make some changes. Hotel said, take your time. I was listening to myself on the radio the other day, and I said, I talk so fast. I've got to learn how to slow down. So taking my time is not something that I know how to do. Okay. Another way that you can engage with a good fight is to um, look through a window. And so you can't find yourself in the story, because this experience is so far beyond anything that you could ever imagine happening in your conscious life, that you simply can't, you're not able to do that. And that is okay. I feel like that several times. I have a friend was telling me a story one day about his life. And he said that he was standing on a street corner, and he was standing on a street corner with his friend. And as they were standing there, somebody else walked up to them, just walking along the sidewalk, everybody straight chilling, and pulled out a gun and shot his friend in the head. And his friend's brain matter splattered onto him and onto his coat and his clothes. His blood everywhere. Just, I mean, his head just exploded right there beside him. And so, as he was telling the story, I was like, I could not even imagine. I've not even seen that on TV, because on TV they're not gonna show you. Like, they would have showed somebody walking up, they might not show. They might have allowed you to hear the sound of the shot, but they wouldn't let you see the head explode, right? So I haven't even seen this on TV, and so I'm like, what must this be like? Like, I could not find myself anywhere in the story, not as the shooter, not as the one having been shot, not as the one with the blood, the brain matter. I could not. But what I could do was receive the story for the gift that it was. It was a gift to me, a gift of information that helps me better understand this person, especially when we begin to talk about trauma and the effects of trauma and the impact of trauma and how trauma shapes us and changes us and what it does to our brains. And so this was very good information to have, even though this was a moment where I was like, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone right now, just listening to the story. So it is okay for you not to be able to find yourself in the story, but to understand that the story is still worth the listen, because there's some information that will be helpful to you either now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, 6 decades from now. I don't know. But we want to receive the story and then allow the spirit to do whatever the spirit is going to do. Hey, Takia. Hey, Takia. How your babies? Listen, you know what? I just thought about something. My oldest brother used to complain to my mom because once he had children, he said my mom no longer asked about him. She only wanted to know about her grandchildren. And I just felt convicted because I didn't say, like, how you doing? I'm like, how the babies? We got to stop doing that. How are you? How is your soul? And you can also talk about the children. Oh, they sleep. I don't play about bedtime. Okay, are they really asleep? Or are they just in the bed and you got the light off and they gonna fall asleep because that's what they gonna have to do because they can't get up out their bed? That's what we used to do. We wouldn't be asleep, but we wasn't getting out their bed. And we would fall asleep eventually. Thanks for being here tonight. And so the third, I think we're on the third way that you can engage. Oh, we were talking about the story. So the third way that you can engage is to walk through a door. So beyond this moment, so we're only going to be here until 8 o'clock. So beyond this moment, how does this story that we're having, this dialogue, this conversation, something that is said, something that is shared, something that is read, how does this then continue to live inside of you? And how does it come up for you? How are you reminded of it later? Like maybe you forgot about it, and then 3 weeks from now, you're like, oh yeah, I remember having that conversation. So Takia says, oh no, they are down, knocked out. They know once those raised sounds gets turned on, it's done. Oh, you know what? When we were little and my mom would have us, my mom always had us. She did not believe in leaving us with anybody. So she always had us. And when we would be out in the store, we would be out running around. But once it started raining, she would say, let's go home. And so we picked that up. And so even as children, once it started raining, we got older, we would say, Mama, let's go home. And then now as an adult, when it starts raining, I'm like, let's go home. And what did we do when we got home? We got up in that bed, baby. That's what you reminded me of, the sound of the rain, just being at home where you feel at peace, where you feel loved, where you feel safe. And I believe that that's what your children are feeling in their home. Yeah, I believe they're knocked out. So Lo is saying his story, there is always two sides to a coin. Yeah. So here's the type of person that I am. If you tell me a story about your life, I believe you 100%. There's nothing that's going to make me question what you choose to share with me. Because A, you ain't got to share it with me. B, I ain't asked you to share it with me. So you doing it on your own volition. And C, why would you need to lie? Like, what's the purpose of that? And so that's what I'm thinking in my mind. So if you tell me the story, I'm going to believe you. And I'm also going to leave myself open to what you're saying about there's another side. So if something comes up, or if you say something later, or if somebody else is introduced into the conversation and they have a take on the story, then I begin to say, okay, let me learn more about this. I'm not going to call you a liar outright, but I'm going to say, let me learn more about this. Maybe there's something else I need to consider so that I can have a bigger picture. So I do believe that there are always two sides. But if you tell me the story, I'm going to believe you. And I think that's what we should do, especially with women, especially with children. Have you all heard these stories where a child will tell an adult that they're being molested and the adult will say, I don't believe you? Why would the child just make up molestation? First of all, they don't even say molestation because they can't say molest because they don't even know what that is. Like, yeah, so I'm going to believe you. But I do agree with you. There are always two sides. But I'm going to take you at your word at first. And so walking through a door, how does this story continue to live with you beyond this moment? And then the last way that you can engage is like Lo and Takia are engaging right now. You can just send a comment and we can post it up and everybody can get in on it. We can have the conversation. Or even if we're no longer in this space, you can still hit me up at any time. Like you can DM me or you can comment on this space even after I leave the studio. And then my number is 228-236-7440. That's 228-236-7440. And you're welcome to reach out to me. So the topic for tonight is God or life. And it's a question mark. I'm asking a question. God or life. And it's rooted in Psalm 13, verses 1 through 6. That's actually the entire psalm. I didn't want to just say Psalm 13 because I didn't want some people to be like, oh, Lord, some of them psalms be having like 50 verses. It's only 6 verses. So it's Psalm 13, 1 through 6, but that's the entire psalm. I don't know if I've ever told you all the story about my ears. I don't wear my hearing aids at home, so I don't have them in. But I wear bilateral hearing aids. That means I have one ear and one hearing aid for both sides of my head. So they are bilateral, bi being two, lateral being sides. So I have one on each side. And I was trying to see how long I've been wearing them. And I really believe that I got them in 2006. I think maybe I got them in 2008. I think I got my hearing aids in 2008. And this is 24. 14 minus 8 is 6. So 16. I think I've been wearing hearing aids now for 16 years. And so what happened, I was in seminary. I went to Perkins School of Theology on the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. I chose SMU because the pastor that I was under at the time at Mount Olive AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church in Fort Myers, Florida, he was an alumni of SMU. And so I trusted him. I believed in him. I had faith in him. And so I believed in our relationship. So when he suggested, it was like one of the top 3 theological schools in the country at the time. I said, okay, I have no problem. But let me back up. I was actually in Mississippi. I was dating a guy named Doug. He said, oh, I didn't realize you went to SMU. I didn't know you were in Dallas. I was in Dallas for 3 years at SMU. I was living on campus. First, I was living off campus the first year. But the second year, I moved into the hall. I was a hall director for Smith Hall. And I was there for the next 2 years until I went off to do my internship in Baltimore. What? Look at the world. Look at the world. Yeah, but before I went to SMU, I was in Mississippi. I was dating Doug. Doug he was into street narcotics. Let me say it like that. He was into street narcotics. And I absolutely, absolutely positively loved him with all of my heart, mind, soul, spirit, and strength, to the point where I did not want to go to college at all. But what I wanted to do was to be his wife and to have his children. Like, that's all I wanted to do. That was my goal in life, was to be his wife and to have his children. Not just to be a wife, but to be his wife and to have his children. He ended up catching a charge and he went to prison. Once he went to prison, I was lost because my relationship with him had caused me to be estranged from my family and my friends. Because my family was like, we don't even know why you with him. You don't need to be doing this. And the more they pushed for me to get away from him, the closer they drove me to him. Y'all know how that works. And then my friends were just like, I don't know what you doing like these days. Like, what's up? Is that where your orange? Yeah. I don't remember my orange story or poem. Yeah. Because he called me Orange. That was the name that he called me because my daddy called me Apple. And it was almost like he was in competition with my daddy. You know how men are. I don't know, whatever. And so when I was lost, so I was estranged from my family, I was estranged from my friends because I was still in school. So I was trying to go to school all day, and then I was riding around with him all night. It was just it was a whole thing. And it happened for years. And so I turned to the church because that was all I knew. I had already met Jesus, had already been in a relationship with Jesus, had already fallen in love with Jesus, and was very serious. And so once he went to prison, Jesus was all I had left because no family, no friends, no lover. And so it's just me. And so I'm in relationship with Jesus. I'm going to church all the time. And I'm feeling just drawn closer and closer and closer to the point where I believed with all of my heart, mind, soul, body, and spirit that the Lord had called me into ministry. And it wasn't just me believing this. As a matter of fact, I didn't even believe it at first. Other people were pouring into me saying, oh, you are the woman of God. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other. And it scared me so much that when it was time for me to do my trial sermon in Mississippi, I absconded. I was like, I'm scared. I don't know what all this is. I've never even thought about being a preacher. I'm not doing this. And I moved to Florida. So when I moved to Florida, my brothers, both of them were already there. So they recruited me to be a public school teacher. I was already a public school teacher in Mississippi. So both my brothers are public school teachers. Now I'm a public school teacher. We are all living in Florida. And me and one of my brothers, no, I'm the only one going to this church. Because my one brother was the older brother was going to the United Methodist Church. The middle child was going to a Baptist church. I was going to an AME Zion church in Mississippi. They didn't have AME Zion in this town in Florida, Fort Myers. So I ended up just at the AME church. I'm like, how much difference could AME be from AME Zion? Like, I wasn't really into denominations. I didn't really know. And that's where I met this pastor. And I did not tell anybody that I believed that I had been called. I didn't tell anybody anything about anything as it relates to my faith and my God. I was just showing up at the church. And then eventually I had a visit from some angels. I haven't told this story in a long time. One day I had moved into my own apartment in Florida, and I had my dad had brought my furniture. Well, he had brought my piano. And once he got there, he bought furniture for me from Florida, in Florida. And so they left. My dad and my mom left. All he came to do was bring my piano, fill up the refrigerator, buy some furniture, and then they were gone. I'm lying in bed, sleep, and I was awakened. I don't know if it was the middle of the night. I don't know. But when I woke up, there were two angels sitting at the foot of my bed, one on each side. And they were not, they did not scare me. I was not, well, I don't want to say I was scared in terms of who is this sitting on my bed. But I wasn't scared like, oh, look at the, because in the Bible, when they talk about angels appearing, the people that see the angel, they're scared because of the look of the angel. Like the angel must look some kind of way. Like, I don't really know. But I wasn't afraid of them. I was just like, who is this on my bed? I knew they were angels immediately because they had wings. So just like you see on TV, just like we used to do when we were in plays and we had to put on wings and the wings are coming out the back, like they're sitting on my bed with their backs to me. So I see their wings. So I know that they're angels. But here's the thing. I wasn't afraid of them. I wasn't scared that they were angels. What got my attention is that they were filing their nails. Both of them on both sides of the bed were filing their nails. And I was like, what? And so the way that I interpreted the dream, I had by now, no, this hadn't happened yet. So the way that I interpreted the dream was that I had already told the people in Mississippi that I was called to preach. They had already scheduled my trial sermon. I did not do it. I ran away and I left. I did not tell the people. I told the people I was leaving and I wasn't coming back. They didn't believe me. I left the next day. I was supposed to do my trial sermon on a Sunday. I left that Monday and I've never been back in that church since. And so now I'm in Florida. Nobody knows what was happening to me in Mississippi. So I have not said anything to anybody. Now I got these angels sitting on the bed, filing their nails. And I interpreted that to mean that we're going to wait on you as long as it takes. God done already called you. God done already called you. We know that you need to be in ministry. You over here tripping. You ain't saying nothing. If you want to play this game, we'll play it with you. Long as it take you, that's what we're going to do. So Takia says, I would have definitely took note of them. Right. Like, who? First of all, they angels. Okay, so you already like something is happening here. But y'all filing y'all nails? Okay. Okay, Jonah. Yeah. You supposed to be going this way and you go the other way. Yeah. Uh-huh. I was like, So I didn't tell anybody. So that's how I interpreted the dream. That we are, no matter how long it takes you, you have been called to preach. You have been chosen to do this work, and we are never going to leave you. So I said, okay, whatever. I did not take heed to the angels. I remember the story. It stuck with me because I'm still telling it to this day. I don't know. Maybe it was, I don't even know how long after that. But I was driving down the street in Fort Myers. Okay, in Florida, it was the first time I experienced all kinds of things. It was the first time I experienced oxtails. It was the first time I experienced crab, like breaking the crab open. They had like, what was the name of that crab place? It was this little shack, and you could go to the shack and you could order the crabs like for $5, and you would get crab, egg, potato in this Ziploc bag. And we would buy like a whole bunch of them and come back to the house. And so the first time I ate crabs, I cut up all my hands. I had so many cuts on my hands because I didn't know how to do that because I had not ever done that in Mississippi. And so we had these crabs. So 4 miles was the first time I ate oxtails, the first time I ate crabs at the table, like all of that. Now, baby, you can give me a crab leg. I can crack it and give you that. My mama didn't eat crab, but she said it was too much work and it wasn't worth it. The payout wasn't worth it. The return of investment, the investment of trying to get it out of there, and you only get this little bit. But I could crack her legs and have it still intact in one piece, and I would put it on her plate, and she would gobble up every bit of it. But she was not gonna do it herself. And so I'm a master at it now. Crab is my favorite shellfish. But it was also in Florida that I started eating gizzards. And you could buy them from this grocery store across the tracks. Y'all know how it is across the tracks, right? So these are people that look like me and they cooking this food in this wait. Wait, let me see what you said. I think this is somebody who ain't supposed to be on here. I don't know who that. Oh, they on what you call it anyway. So I don't know who that is. But lotus fingers. I don't know what they're saying. Baking soda peroxide. I don't know what they're talking about. But so I'm going across the track to get some gizzards. I'm gonna buy them from the. You can only get them at this gas station. That was the only place that they sold them, and they would give you ketchup and hot sauce mixed together to go with it. I was at the lights. I was gonna turn right, go over the railroad track, and the gas station was gonna be right there on my right. It was beside a farmer's market. When I looked up at the lights, there were hands coming out of the sky like this. No body, no face, no eyes, no ears, just hands coming out of the sky. All right. So I've run from Mississippi. I've made it to Florida. I haven't said anything. I got angels on my bed, and now I got hands coming out the sky. I'm like, okay, look. So that was when I went to the pastor and I told him my story. And that was when he said, if you really believe that God is calling you to do this, then you need to go to school. He did not believe that we should continue this practice where people just wake up one day and say they called and now they in the pulpit the next day. He did not believe in that. I had been sitting under him for a couple of years, and so I trusted him, and I wanted to be like I was following in his footsteps, right? I was like his protege to keep. And the way I would have had to pull that car over, let me tell you, I did not pull the car over. What had happened was I couldn't move. So the light was green, and I'm still sitting there looking at the hands coming out the sky. And I'm just sitting there. So of course, what happens? People are honking their horns behind me. I could not hear them. I could not hear them honking their horns. I did not know that the light was green. I did not realize I was holding up traffic. All I know is that I wanted to get some gizzards, but it's some hands coming out the sky. So people started like going around me and going around me. I guess they thought at that point that my car wouldn't start or something. But I don't know how long I stayed there, honestly. I don't know if I even went to get the gizzards. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know how I got back home. I don't know. I don't know what happened after that. I do know that whenever I came to myself, the story of the prodigal son, he was about to eat their slop in their pig pen. And in that moment, he came to himself. So whenever I came to myself, I told the pastor I was called to preach. And he was like, if you're really serious, then you should go to school. And that's when he said, you should go to SMU. No, I'm going to recommend this. You make your own decision. I went to SMU. I stayed at SMU for 3 years because that was the program. I got a Master of Divinity. You could get all other kind of degrees, but I got a Master of Divinity, and it was a 4. That was my follow-up question. Did you get the gizzards? I don't know. Now, do I get gizzards to this day? Yes. Do they taste the same as the ones in Florida? No. Do they put the hot sauce and the ketchup in the thing together? No. Do I do that when I get home? Yes. I love me some gizzards. I'll eat livers, but they're not the same. I don't have to have any livers. And so I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And so I went to SMU. I'm on this program where you have to stay 3 years in the program, and then you have to do an internship. You can do the internship wherever you want to do it. But I chose to do my internship in Baltimore, Maryland. Why? Because we had chapel when the first year you had to go to chapel. But I was going to chapel anyway because I was already a church girl. One day there was a sign on the door that said, we're going to have for chapel a special guest. It's a deaf choir. A deaf choir. Now, imagine me looking at the sign saying, you a deaf choir. So y'all can't hear, but y'all finna be a choir? Like, what is happening right now? Am I in the Twilight Zone? So I was like, I'm writing this down on my schedule. I'm finna show up. So I show up, and sure enough, these were people who are deaf. We want to use people first language. I've been learned. It's people who are not deaf people. Let's not define people by their identities. Let's define them by their personhood. So they are people first who just happen to be deaf. So they are people who are deaf. They're on the stage. They got a drum, and they are signing, and they are moving their lips. They're signing. So the drum gives them the vibration that allows them to keep the beat. So I'm talking about they was moving and grooving and they was signing. And I was like, what? I'm like, I still have chills to this day. Right now, I feel the chills. I'm like, I've never seen anything like this before. So the woman who was the pastor of the church, her name was Peggy Johnson, Reverend Peggy Johnson. I ran her down and I was like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. I'm so excited. I took 1 semester of sign language in college. I feel like I know what's going on. She was like, we should stay in touch. When it was time, so I got to be there 3 years. I don't remember what year this was, but when it was time for me to do my internship, I reached out to her and was like, hey, I need an internship. Can I come do the internship? I go to Baltimore, Maryland, 4th year in seminary. I'm doing my internship. I'm serving under, she's now Bishop Peggy Johnson, but at the time she was Reverend Peggy Johnson, Peggy Ann, if I'm not mistaken. And the church is filled with people who are deaf and people who are blind and people who are deaf and blind. So when I tell y'all, my head is like exploding. People who are blind and people who are um, deaf and blind, you have to sign in their hand. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And so I was there and I had to be there for a year. My internship was for a year. But all of a sudden, I was picking up on the sign language like boom, boom, boom. 6 months in, she was sending me to teach class by myself. That's how fast I was picking up on the sign language. You want to know why? This is what we pieced together. Why I was picking up on it so fast? Because one day she comes running down the hall in the church and taps me on my shoulder. I'm looking at her like, because it startled me. I'm like, what is going on? And she said, oh my goodness, I've been in ministry with people who are deaf and people who are deaf and blind and people who are blind long enough to know that you got a hearing problem. I'm going to send you to this audiologist so that you can get a test. All of this is like happening like in one, like she said all of that in one breath. I'm like, what? Like what? And so this is in Baltimore, Maryland. We're not far from Washington, D.C., which is where they have Gallaudet University, which is a university, a college for people who are deaf. So this is all of this is like coming together. Like, you know how there's a scripture in the Bible, Romans 8:28, and Paul says, and this I know that all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord and who are called according to God's purpose. And so I was showing up. I'm talking about I was a morning, noon, and night, pray on my knees kind of kind of Christian. I was real strict then in my liturgy, in my regime, in my relationship, like really strict. I got to guard my eye gate, my mouth gate, my ear gate. I was that kind of Christian. And so all of this is just, I'm in this place at this time, and I get this diagnosis that says, yeah, you hard of hearing. And then they give me some, what you call them, some temporary hearing aids, like just to put them on, just to try them out. And I could not hear. I was talking soft because my voice sounded so loud. So I was whispering. My roommates couldn't understand what I was saying. And then I was having to sing at church and I couldn't sing. I had to play, I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I'm a vocal artist. I'm a musician, like all of that. And so I couldn't do any of those things because of these hearing aids. So I was like, nah, the devil is a lie. I ain't finna do this. I ain't finna have no hearing aids. That's why I said, I tell you what, the Lord said, remember, I'm a strict Christian, that you can lay hands on the sick and they will recover. So I took myself to the elders of every church I could find. And so I went to church. This was, okay, so, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I left, I graduated. The kids said, I'm so locked in. Feels like an origin story. Everything from the point where we met makes so much sense now. Okay, see what I'm saying? That's why we have to tell stories. That is the power of story. We have to share our stories. And so, okay, so I do not get the hearing aids while I'm in Baltimore because I'm like, the devil is a liar, because the Bible said that you can go to the elders and that you can lay hands on the sick and they will recover, right? And so I'm now back in Jackson. I'm back in Mississippi. And I'm charismatic at this point. I'm not United Methodist at this point. I'm charismatic. So I'm going to the church, the Word and Worship. I think it's Word and Worship. It was, yeah, and it was one of those Bible. It was a Bible. So you had to have your Bible out. You had to have your notes. They sold the journals and the notepads in the store on the campus of where the Bible was. And so we was taking notes. We were flipping all the time. Like, I'm all into the Word. So I'm coming down. I'm letting everybody lay hands on me. And I'm letting them teach me. They taught me how to speak in tongues, baby. They taught me how. Because I was not leaving there till I got this. I want the Lord to fall on me. And I wanted the evidence. That's what they were teaching. The evidence of the Holy Spirit. This through speaking in tongues. So I wanted to speak in tongues. I'm doing everything I can for 3 years. For 3 years. I went to everybody's altar call. I don't care if it was Sunday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Friday, Thursday. I went to every revival. I went everywhere. I went. And I had people laying hands. Somebody pushed me down. Because everybody said they laying hands on you. They ain't laying, I ain't feeling nothing. I wasn't going nowhere. So he pushed me down. So I'm speaking in tongues. I'm being slain in the spirit. I'm shouting. I'm tithing. I'm preaching. I'm dancing. I'm evangelizing. I'm doing all of these things, believing God that God is going to heal me and my ears so that I can continue to. I was a liturgical dancer, so I could continue to praise God through music. And one day my daddy said, because they came home and the TV was up so loud, and it had always been up so loud. So now they like, look, now we know, now we understand. They like you, now we understand. Lo said, let me tell you something. When I go to churches, I haven't done this in a long time, but if I were to go to that kind of church where they're going to operate in the spiritual gifts, I ask the presence of the Lord in that place. Which one of these lines I'm supposed to get in? Because you ain't supposed to get in everybody's line. Like, I believe that even when I go to the airport and I need help, I ask the spirit. I say, which one of these people I'm supposed to ask for help? Because I know I need to ask everybody for help. Like, I'm real big on energy. I am real big on energy. And so my daddy was like, you need a second opinion. Why don't you get a second opinion? It's 3 years later, y'all. I get a second opinion. Second opinion said the same thing as the first opinion. You need hearing aids, not just one, but you need 2. We got the test. If I had put the test on top of each other like this, it was the same test, the same information telling me the same thing. You are hard of hearing. So at that point, my daddy said, when you are ready, I'll pay for them. I think it was probably another 3 months after that I finally said, I'm going to get these hearing aids. Went to Belltown on State Street, across from the Baptist Hospital. Those of you who are in Jackson, you know what I'm talking about. Down the street from Kiefer's, where you can get the potato logs and the ye rolls. And Debbie Fortenberry, that was her name. I got my hearing aids for the first time. I was teaching school at Powell. And I'll never forget, I was walking down the hall, and Kadada Brown and Terrence Hart were having a conversation. We were all having a conversation together. Got my hearing aids on. I walked away from them because it was after school and I was going home. I walked away from them and left them standing there. While they were standing there, I walked all the way to the end, to the double doors that let you outside, and I heard what they said with my back turned to them. And I said, at that moment, I'm healed. I could hear them talking, and I was all the way down the hall and had stepped out the door. My back was turned. Do you know that I had not heard anybody speaking to me with my back turned for years? And in that one day, she said, I love stories about dads. They won't push, but they always support. Listen. John, you know where Belltown is? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. My daddy said, when you ready? And I went on State Street. That Belltown is still there. Look. Somebody needs to shout. Listen to me when I tell you. I did not know what I was missing out on. I don't even try to think about it now. How much I did not hear. How much life I missed. How many stories I miss. Because I used to be that person that would just say, I would just say, okay. Or I would laugh when everybody else laughed because I didn't want to keep saying, huh. Because you keep saying, huh, huh, huh. People get tired of you saying, huh. And so they just dismiss you. And so I didn't do that. I was pretending I could hear. Don't let the man take me to the movies. Girl, I didn't know what was going on in the movies. And he ain't want to talk about it no way afterwards. Them the kind of men I used to be with. They ain't want to talk about it no way. If they had asked me something, I would not have been able to. I don't know what they saying. And you know how in the movies somebody always whispering. Somebody always got to be up on somebody to get up close and get in their ear, having these romantic moments. And now they talking low. I didn't know what they were saying. And in that moment, when I got to my car, remember I done learned how to speak in tongues at this point. I'm speaking in tongues. Listen, I had a moment in that car speaking in tongues and shouting hallelujah and crying and not being able to contain myself because I knew that I had been healed with the hearing aids. I ain't looked back, y'all. Look, when I got ready to get some more, since it's been 18 years, I done had to get more. I done lost a pair, had to get some more and all of that. Yes, honey, I will have my own praise break. I ain't got to go to nobody's church. I will have my own praise break up in here. Listen to me when I tell you that I can do it all by myself. And so I haven't looked back. So one time I went to get another pair and they were like, we can get the pair where you can't see it. So nobody will know that you have hearing aids. Girl, I ain't scared. I don't care about nobody knowing I got the batteries are smaller. So you're going to have to change them. So you're going to spend more money with I ain't spending no more money on no batteries. I ain't getting no little bit of hearing aids. I got the ones that come, look, they come over my ear, baby. I ain't ashamed at all. As a matter of fact, people don't even see them. I have to tell them, or sometimes most of the time, people don't even recognize it. But here I am, thanking God for healing me through these hearing aids. So imagine my conversation the other day when I could not talk. Yeah, this is the first day I have talked since last Sunday. So I'm talking to somebody. And I'm not talking to them because I'm talking. They talking, I'm texting. And so they say, it's weird for you to be texting while I'm talking. And I said, well, some people are going to have to get used to this because at some point I'm going to go deaf because that's the projection of my hearing loss. At some point my ears will never get better, but they are going to get worse. How long is it going to take? You said, I definitely had no clue. I think you got them after I graduated PAL. Probably. I don't know. What year did you graduate? I probably could tell you then. So that's the projected end. So if my ears continue to go, I got them in 8. So yeah, because I graduated from seminary in 5. And remember, it took me 3 years to get to the point where I would even entertain the thought of having them. And so that's in 8. And so about halfway through the year, I said, I'm going to go ahead and get them. So I got them in 2008. Yeah, I think. Did I say 6? Yeah, it's 8. It wasn't 6. It's 8. And so I'm having a conversation saying, this is the way I'm going to have to communicate with people when I go deaf, right? I'm going to have to communicate because most people don't know how to sign. And most people don't there are people who have family members who are deaf and the family refuses to learn how to sign. Do you not know how isolating that is? I don't think people realize how isolating it is not to be able to communicate and then not to be able to communicate in your own home. Oh, those stories. I learned a lot of those stories when I was working with people who are deaf or hard of hearing or deaf and blind or blind. And so I said, this is going to be, because most people don't know how to sign, this is going to be. And then my friend had the audacity to say, no, I'm going to call on the elders and they're going to pray to God to heal you. I said, what now? See how the world works? I remember you had us signal out parade routines with sign language. Look, I'm telling you, I had taken a class in college. I did not know I was going to need it. I had taken a class. I've always been fascinated by sign language. And then I picked, yes, all things work together for the good. And so he said, we're going to have the elders, I'm going to have the elders pray for you. I said, so you don't think I pray for myself? Well, I just believe that if we all get together and touch and agree, like, wait, you don't think? And so I'm getting mad. When I tell you I'm getting furious with this conversation, I'm getting absolutely livid. I have prayed. I have fasted. I have prayed and fasted. I have called on the name. I have spoken in tongues. I have been slain. And I did this for years. And the answer was my hearing aids. And now you telling me that yeah, that's you don't okay. Not only do you not think I could do it, you think God gonna do it for somebody else. So God gonna hear somebody else's prayers about my life, but not gonna hear my own prayers about my own life. And God gonna answer them, but not gonna answer. When I tell you, I was absolutely livid. And so I was so livid that I was like, you know what? This not gonna end well. We don't even need to talk about this no more because this is not gonna end well. That's where I've grown so much. Some of y'all would be so proud of me if you knew me back in the day when I used to cuss folks out all the time. Now y'all be so proud of me because I have learned. I feel it coming. So I'm just gonna end it right here. So that way I don't have to cuss. I don't have to throw no hands. All the stuff I used to do, I don't have to do that anymore. I can just say this is not gonna end well and let's be done. And so I said, when I got ready to leave that person, okay, so Lo says it depends on which God we talking about. I don't even believe that. I don't care which God it is. I don't believe that the God that whatever God I serve, whatever whatever name it is, I don't believe that God will honor somebody else's prayer. I'm not talking about if I am not of sound mind. So people who are, say, addicted to injection drugs, people who are addicted to alcohol, people who are addicted to sex, people who have a barrier, something that's keeping them from being able to find their way to healing. There's something that's obstructing them. I do believe that God will use an intermediary. I do believe that God will let you stand in the gap for them. I do believe that. But a person that's like just solely surrendered, like I was the kind of Christian where I didn't have a problem. Like this is the most vulnerable part of your body. And so we should talk about if you can surrender to the Lord, if you can make yourself the most vulnerable, that's the kind of Christian I was. I don't believe that God would listen to them and not listen to me. I don't care who God it is. So I never heard that. Listen, my mama ain't either. My mama ain't never heard me cuss. If you tell her right now, if you speak to her right now, because she up in here, if you tell her right now that I cuss, she wouldn't believe you. She ain't never heard me cuss. But baby, I done cussed out a minute. I'm talking about grown folks, bosses, supervisors, colleagues, lovers, friends. I'm telling you, thank God for growth. Thank God for growth. So when I left him, I said, when you revisit this conversation, I want you to hear me when I say, do not pray to your God to heal me because I don't need no healing. I'm already healed. And if I become deaf, that is not a problem for me. My life will not be diminished in any way. I'm still going to live life to the full. I'm still going to be bold. I'm still going to be unapologetic. I'm still going to be Denise. I'll just have to make some adjustments, and that is okay with me. And so that's what brought me to this conversation, because I'm like, so life, the science, the biology of life is telling me you can't fix my ears. They not fixable. Right now we just trying to maintain them as long as possible, understanding that they can get worse. So we doing the best I can. So that's why I put them on every day. So Lo said, all right, Joshua, I done been some of everybody tonight. I done been Jonah, I done been Joshua. Yeah. I'm okay. And so I told him, I don't need you, because you're going to mess something. I don't even, Don't pray to your God about nothing. I am fine just the way that I am. And I don't have a problem making any kind of adjustments. The biology says you cannot fix these ears, and God has already pronounced me here. That's why I got hearing aids. And that's what brought me to this um um this oh no, I did that wrong. Oh, maybe they'll let me put it up. Nah, they won't let me put it. I did it wrong. I want to read this before we go. Here's Psalm number 13. Lord, will you forget about me forever? When will you remember to come and help me? My thoughts make me worry all the time. How long must I continue to be sad? How long will my enemies continue to win against me? Lord, please listen to me. I feel that I am nearly dead. Please give me the strength to live. If I die, my enemies will say, we have won against him. My enemies will be very happy if I fall, but I will trust you because of your faithful love. Please make me safe so that I can be happy and thank you. Yes, I will sing to praise the Lord because he will surely help me. Verse 6 again. Yes, I will sing to praise the Lord because he will surely help me. And my question is, what kind of help are you looking for? Because the people that say, God, I'm saying, is it God or life? Because for me, God moved through my life. God moved through the audiologist. God moved through my senior pastor. God moved through my daddy. God moved through these hearing aids. Listen, I'm looking. Hey, say, baby. Say, baby, when is altar call? Because I'm over here slinging snot. See, Kia, you giving me life tonight. What you mean when I say really? What you mean when I say really? So here I am, and I'm saying, God, you looking for God. You waiting on God by God's self. You just waiting on God to, I guess you, what, I don't know what and then we begging and pleading. This psalmist is begging and pleading. How long am I going to have to wait for you to help me? How long am I going to have to wait for you to come and fix it? How long am I going to have to wait for you to drop it down from heaven? How long am I going to have to wait for you to have some kind of miracle? The miracle for me, my help was in my hearing aid, and that came through people surrounding me saying, look, I've been on this journey long enough to recognize what's happening in you. And I got some information that will help you. You ain't got to receive it, but I got it for you. And so then when I finally receive the information, some Christian gonna tell me, oh no, but you ain't healed? Not yet? Because I'm gonna call on some elders to heal you? We got to stop waiting on the pie in the sky. We got to stop waiting on by and by. We got to stop waiting on when we all get to heaven. We got to stop waiting on over yonder. We got to stop waiting to die so that we can be healed. We can be healed and we can be whole right now if we open ourselves up to the help that God has given us through the people that are surrounding us. People are trying to help you, but you're too busy praying. The people are your prayers. The people walk through the door as the answer to your prayer. And you can't recognize them because you're waiting on God. And then you feeling all depressed. You're feeling all down. You're feeling all lonely. You're feeling all sad because you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, but you keep bypassing the answers. So I told him, I don't need you. Don't send me no elders. God, now look. I'm not saying that I'm healed from it. I'm talking about my ears. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm asking you, what is it that God is trying to heal you from through your community, through your people? I'm not talking about just in and everybody, because I already told you, everybody can't pray for me. Oh, okay. So you answered the dilemma, waiting on the pie in the sky when your answers are staring you. You answer the dilemma, waiting on the pie in the sky when your answers are staring you in the face. Yes. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't pray. I pray. I pray on the regular. I'm one of those ones when it says in the Bible that you're supposed to pray without ceasing. That's me, because I feel like that means that you are always supposed to be in a posture of prayer. So I ain't got to stop and pray. I ain't got to get down on my hands and knees and pray. I ain't got to shout hallelujah to pray. I'm already in the posture. I'm already opening up. Every time I walk out, I'm opening up to say, what God do you have for me? And who are you sending me with it? And I'm going to receive it. It can be a child. It can be a black person, white person, old person, homeless person, a person of trans experience. I'm open to it. The same way God created you, he created the people around you. You don't think he didn't bless them with the gift that you need? Say that, Takia. The same way God created you, he created the people around you. You don't think that he didn't bless them with the gift that you need? That's why community is so important. And that's why it says we got one spirit that gives different gifts. Because through community, we bring all of our gifts to the table so all of us can be healed. I need what you got, and you need what I got. Stop trying. Stop trying to pray to God when God is ever present before you. Lo said, your voice sounds 100% better. Look, won't he do it? How many of y'all shout like that in your head? Go, won't he do it? Thank y'all so much for joining me for the Good Fight right here every single Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I am here for it. Cannot wait to see how it unfolds next week. I've kept you for 1 minute too long. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. See y'all next week. Bye.